And it was the worst maritime disaster in British history. So why isn't the wreck of the Clyde-built Lancastria being protected? Good evening. Now, a Scottish delegation will be going to Downing Street this weekend to press the Prime Minister to designate a new British war grave, even though it lies in French waters. The loss of the Clyde-built liner Lancastria was the worst disaster in British maritime history and Britain's biggest single loss of life in World War II. But Winston Churchill ordered the news suppressed, and campaigners say the wreck still isn't being given full legal protection. Kenneth MacDonald has this report.
She'd been launched on the Clyde to take advantage of the interwar transatlantic trade. Later she carried rich Americans on Caribbean cruises. They couldn't pronounce her name, Tyrrhenia, so it was changed. To superstitious seafarers, that was a bad omen.
This is a small display gathered by the Lancastria Association. And here we have the menus and the programmes from the Lancastria when she was cruising the Bahamas and spending times, and a pretty luxurious menu portfolio there.
She was comfortable enough, but despite her extensive menus, not exactly in the blue ribboned class.
But although we can't say because we don't have any documentation of what she was like, you can assume that she wasn't particularly well fitted at launch, and then Cunard wanted to upgrade her. So she was pretty superior class in her time, but size-wise, content-wise, she was nothing spectacular. She wasn't a queen. She wasn't in that kind of class.
Instead, the Lancastria's place in the history books comes down to the events of the 17th of June 1940. France was falling to the Nazis, and troops and refugees unable to escape at Dunkirk had fled west. Soon there was only the Atlantic and the hope of rescue aboard a ragtag flotilla, among them the Lancastria.
She arrived before dawn, and men started to be taken out in tenders, in small boats, and by noon, when they stopped counting the number coming on board, there were already 6,000 people on this one ship. So there were at least 6,000, there may have been up to 8,000 on the ship. In the early afternoon, German dive bombers started to attack the ships out in the Bay of Saint-Nazaire, and there was one air raid on the Lancastria where the bombs missed, and everybody cheered and shouted rude things at the German pilots, and another plane came back and dropped 4 bombs, all of which hit the ship.
It took her a matter of minutes to go down, taking with her at least 4,000, some say as many as 6,000 souls. 5 years ago, one survivor told Newsnight Scotland his story.
The ship then took a lurch. Just lurched there, quite a lurch. So we all scrambled up the other side, and of course it settled up, it leveled off. The stern was quite high up. You could see the propeller sticking out of the water. But people were jumping off, and down we went. By Jove, that was it. And I had no recollection of what happened after that. Until it was dark. I must have gone down, I don't know how deep, it was all dark, silent. And then all of a sudden there was a light above me, and up you popped like a cork.
More people died than on the Titanic and Lusitania put together, but Britain was not to know. The news was censored.
The news got to London that evening, and just up here in Downing Street, Churchill was sitting in the garden. It was a lovely June summer evening, and the news was brought to him, and he responded. He said, "I thought the newspapers had quite enough bad news for a day. This was the day that France actually really fell."
Today, only a boy and a dwindling number of survivors and bereaved mark the wreck. But the Lancastria Association of Scotland is pressing the Ministry of Defence, and now number 10, to designate it a British war grave.
There has been some extension of the protection around the wreck by the French government last year following representations we made directly to the French government, but that would not allow for the pursuit and prosecution of British flagged vessels or British citizens who were subsequently found to have been interfering with the site. And so it's important for us that the maximum protection that can be afforded the wreck is done.
The Lancastria campaigners want another thing, and that's a permanent Scottish memorial. The favoured site is here at the Golden Jubilee Hospital in Clydebank, or at least that's what it is now. Then it was the Beardmores Yard where the Lancastria was built and launched. It would be a memorial to the thousands of people who died in Britain's worst maritime disaster, one that was hushed up at the time and which is now in danger of being forgotten.
Again, MacDonald, a quick look.